Winter and summer, different in every way. Polar opposites, you could say. Motorized recreation is different too, with summer on the dirt, winter on the snow. Wheel-based OHVs have been limited to trail systems in most areas in an attempt to prevent resource damage and protect the environment. Snowmobiles, on the other hand, well, they're part of a very different world. Snow falls as much as 15 feet deep in their playgrounds, which has allowed them to travel unfettered across country. Snowmobilers can head into some of the most remote locations anywhere, since their tracks disappear with the next storm and no damage is done to the environment. Now, one ruling looks to change that, putting snowmobiles on the same level as standard ATVs, which would change the winter sport as it's currently enjoyed.
The new rule just came out in January of this year, and it mandates that the Forest Service has to do winter travel planning, very similar to what took place for the 2005 travel planning rule for rubber tire sports. What's happening now is that we're kind of in limbo. We don't know exactly which forests are going to have to undergo winter travel planning, because some have already done enough that may satisfy the new rule.
According to the rule, unless a forest has already made their off-highway vehicle decisions through a public National Environmental Policy Act process, all forests that receive sufficient snow for snowmobile use must now undertake winter travel management planning. In short, the new regulations state that a forest is now closed to cross-country snowmobile use unless the landscape is officially designated as an open play area. The Forest Service is currently in the process of deciding how to proceed and was unable to comment on camera regarding this new ruling. But snowmobile advocates are still hopeful.
We're thankful that the Forest Service does recognize that there's a difference between summer and winter recreation. That being said, we know that non-motorized winter users would prefer to have all of that public lands to themselves. So now it becomes a question of, was there enough winter travel planning done on each individual forest or each individual unit? Did it have a very open and public process? And if so, they may not have to undergo additional winter travel planning. When winter travel planning does take place, the culmination is going to be a brand new map, and it's going to explain where snowmobiling can and cannot be allowed. And then at that point, there will be new designations made as far as routes and as far as open areas. And then I think that would be the key, is that's where we have to get involved. It's a very intensive process for the public to go through and undertake winter travel planning. It's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of writing. And so that's not something that the snowmobile community has always been that good at.
In the coming months, each national forest will announce whether or not they'll have to go through a new planning process. For those forests that do need to make a change, the procedure will begin with a public comment period open to recreationists of all types. That window of time is where changes can be made and the voice of the people heard. Until then, it will be important for everyone to pay attention as the Forest Service evaluates their current management plans.
Make sure that you're aware of what's happening in your favorite spot. And then once you do that, then you'll be in the know as to whether or not winter travel planning is really going to come to fruition. People understand that if they don't get involved in the winter travel planning, there's a good chance that where they like to ride could fall by the wayside.
And if you don't want that to happen, you'll need to get involved. Winter and summer may be different, but the rules of motorized recreation may become similar in 2015. From the Snowmobile Trailhead, I'm Terry Wood.